Hi, everyone.
Morning. No, not morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Sport Gents, for welcoming us, obviously. And I would like to go a little bit deeper into Bpifrance. And can you tell us a little bit what is the mission and at what scale?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So for those of us who are not French, who don't know us, basically you can think of us as let's say, the French Sovereign Wealth Fund and the French Public Development Bank. So we operate as a bank and as an investment fund. We are government-owned, but we are privately managed, meaning we are for-profit. And we do mostly two things. We lend to French companies, and we invest in French companies and in French private equity funds. So we have around 60 billion euros of loans outstanding to French companies, and we have around 65 billion euros of assets under management on the private equity side of what we do. So in a nutshell, that's us. We have 50 branches across France, so we are not just Parisian. We are everywhere on the French territory, speaking to roughly 1,000 companies every day in France.
So why sports is right now a strategic priority for Bpifrance and not 10 years ago? Why now?
Why not 10 years ago? I couldn't say, honestly. There's so many things we should have done 10 years ago. I wouldn't say, but why now I can say. I mean, why now? Clearly, this is a tipping point where we see sports being considered as an industry, which was not the case in the past. So it's not an asset class per se, but I mean, it's an industry in which you can invest, you can analyze the value chain, you can create value, you can structure things, you can consolidate companies. So we come from something which was very thriving in terms of notoriety, great events, great brands, but very atomic in a way, very scattered, in a way not professional sometimes. So there are many things to build, many practices to import from the UK, from the US, from elsewhere in Europe. Many brands we can capitalize on, and basically a world segment which we see as emerging. We see a lot of investors coming to France or building practices in France. So we think it's the right time to start really creating value and really seeing sport as an industry, as a business sector when you can really make money and build companies.
How you want to animate this industry? What are the key things to do to be able to be like the main enterprise, main go-to person to invest in sports?
When I say it's an industry, I would say it's a value chain that range from the IP of clubs to retail professionals to infrastructure, everything. So I think the first thing to do is really to analyze the value chain to see where you can create money. You cannot only count on TV rights and clubs to finance the whole sector. Clearly, especially not now. You cannot even less count on the public sector to do so, which was the case back in the days in France. So you need to find alternatives which are shown to us by the new sports, which are emerging by the new practices, the new ways of doing sports, which have to finance themselves outside of the federation's ecosystem. So I think that's really the way we should see things now. We should take examples on paddle, on whatever, climbing, all the sports that have been emerging on the side of the classic French sport ecosystem. I'm not sure I'm answering your question, but...
Yeah, okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the participation of Bpifrance and which company?
Yes, so what we do, we operate at different levels. One level is the sports clubs themselves. We try to help them really build value creation platforms, meaning we are not just a sport club. You can be a business club. You are a brand. You can do many things around your brand. So that's one thing. Tech, we're very big on tech across all the sectors. So sport tech is a big theme now, both in venture capital and innovation financing. Then you have the whole SME ecosystem, which has been there for years, but which is getting more international. And the last thing we do is that we invest in funds. So we are an LP to most of the French good GPs. and we try to push them to develop a sport practice because we think there's really an investment case, but to grab that investment case, you need a professional team. So you need a sport practice within your investment platform. That's what we do as an investor, by the way.
And working with you is also an opportunity to export. So how you can do it with the company that you invest with?
That's always a good question. It's not the best of the French business exporting. We are not very good at exporting, to be honest, generally speaking. As far as sport is concerned, again, we have amazing brands. If you think of the biggest events like Roland Garros these days, like Tour de France, etc., the Olympics have been very helpful. So what we do is that we really push all companies to capitalize on that, and then we help them landing in core target markets. So we accompany them in some markets, in the UK, in Africa, in Asia, across the world, basically. That's one thing we do. We have an accelerator, which is a kind, you can think of it as a hyper executive MBA. So we take the CEOs of sport companies, and mostly sport startups, and we do some training and some getting together with large companies which are already international that will help them export and be more international than they already are. Long way. To be honest, but worth it. I mean, you do need to be international in this industry. That's what we see today. I mean, if you just walk along the corridors, you can see it's clearly an international business.
And you created with your team this team basically called Les Meneurs, and with this event called Sport Definition. And what was the philosophy and what you want to achieve with it?
So Les Meneurs is really about working with the clubs again, and talking to them and say, you're a business, you can do things differently. You can get back to the days where the business community in the city was meeting in the club during the match, after the match, and we've been doing that for quite some time. Sport Definition was pretty much the same kind of bet as Sport Gen at the French level. 3 years ago, the guys are there who had the initiative, so a tribute to them. But we thought there was no business event around sport in France to gather all the communities, all the parts of the value chain together, and to make a stance that, yes, this is a business, yes, people need to speak together, yes, they need to meet investors, yes, we need to bring investors, and we need to bring people from businesses outside of France, in Europe, and across the world. So that's really what Sport Definition is about. The third event will be on it's an annual event, so the third one will be on the 1st of July, right here in Paris, so you're all welcome, and your friends are welcome too, probably around 5,000 people. So it's really, the aim is to say this is a business and this is the place where everybody can meet and start new things together.
You're working with a lot of entrepreneurs in sport, and what do you think, what they are lacking maybe to be better in the sports industry? We see that this is emerging, so a lot of persons try to invest, to go straight on, and what are the difficulties that they can face on?
There's no general answer to that question, but I think they are still lacking, again, the business ecosystem. There are not so many people you can talk to as a sport professional and be considered just as a professional. There's always, in many thoughts, there's still the image of this is more or less a hobby, more than a profession. So we need really to break this ceiling and to say, okay, this is just a business, it's a serious business, it's a lot of value, it's a lot of opportunities. So that's the ecosystemic part. There's not so many investors, not so many bankers you can talk to and saying, I'm in the sport business, I'm a serious guy, I'm going to make a lot of money. So that's one thing. And the second thing about the entrepreneurs themselves is ambition. I mean, you need to realize that you can do great things at the global level, being French, because you can capitalize on all the great brands that we have.
So in a perfect world for you, what success will look like in 2, 3, 5 years out?
I would say, obviously, more large international companies, Probably the brands, like I was talking with a guy from Brazil who has a Roland Garros tournament in Brazil for juniors. So I think the big brands like Tour de France, like Roland Garros, just like the Louvre, for instance, those kind of brands needs to be declined across the world. So I think success in 5 years means something like that, behind which you can, have a lot of people expanding. The Olympics, obviously, were the guys from the Olympics in 24 are all working in Los Angeles. So that's another thing. All these kind of flagships need to take the rest of the business community with them. So global brands, more global brands, and a lot of consolidation. I mean, we have, in our portfolio as an investor, we have 19 companies today, 900 million euros of revenues. I think in 3 or 4 years, considering that we would be an investor in, let's say, 1 out of 3 interesting deals, within 3 to 5 years, we need minimum to triple that. Meaning you need to consolidate quite a few companies which have very isolated spots on the value chain, or that are just one player amongst 10 others in a specific niche of the market. So I would say that consolidation and internationalization behind large brands.
But don't you think that there is like this paradox? We have Roland Garros, we have all those good brands, and you have a whole ecosystem that is not mature enough.
Yeah, that's the French paradox. The French paradox, for those who haven't heard, is that we have been able to argue for years that wine is good for your health. So it should be easy to say that sport is good for your health, once you admit that even wine is good for you. But more seriously, I think the idea is, it's not a paradox, it's the opportunity. I mean, we have the potential, we have great professionals, we have great brands, we have great infrastructures, by the way, also. But we don't have that many large companies. So there's just an ecosystem that is waiting for a few daring people to build on it. That's the paradox. It's probably a paradox, but it's mostly an opportunity again. And it's probably due to the fact that this, like many things in France, has grown on the back of public money and of government sponsorship, which has been great. They have been building, again, great things, but not so much business-oriented. So there is an opportunity to turn things the business way, let's say.
So how are you making sure also that those French entrepreneurs are not like leaving the Europe, you're leaving France to benefit maybe to the US infrastructure because their whole ecosystem is more mature? How France can be better at this, and how Bpifrance has great role at this?
Well, you can get a lot of inspiration from what has happened in the US, from the way the national federations are opening to private equity, from the way Formula One has turned around in a few years. So there's a lot of inspiration to be taken in many fields. For one thing, so before to be a genius, you need to, it's funny, I had this discussion yesterday night. To be a genius, you need to understand and integrate what the best are doing first. And then you need to go beyond. So first thing, before being geniuses, let's learn from the best, and then we can capitalize on what we are, on our strength, and become leaders. But I think really we need to learn a few lessons first. And there's many great practices to import, again, from outside of Europe mostly.
Thank you very much, Arnaud. It was a pleasure. So I'm going to give it up to the next one. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Pleasure. Thanks a lot, Sofiane.